Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive paradox. What if the one technology that could save us from climate change is also one of its biggest new threats? Yeah, we're talking about AI and its incredibly complicated relationship with the future of our planet.
On one hand, you've got these huge tech companies, even the United Nations, basically saying AI is the key to solving the climate crisis. But then you've got this growing chorus of environmental groups who are sounding the alarm, warning it could make things so much worse. So what's the real story here? Is AI our climate champion, or is it shaping up to be a new kind of climate villain?
Okay, to get to the bottom of this, here's what we're going to do. We'll start by looking at the incredible promise. AI is the ultimate climate tool. We'll see how it's already being used on the front lines. Then, we're going to flip the coin and dig into its hidden carbon cost and its really scary potential as a disinformation machine. Finally, we'll talk about what comes next. How can we be smarter, not just bigger, with AI? And what does it really mean to treat this thing like a tool and not some kind of magic savior?
All right, so let's kick things off with the good news, the really optimistic view. The argument here is that for the very first time in history, we have a tool that's powerful enough to actually wrap its head around the insane complexity of our planet's climate. It gives us this incredible ability to monitor and even predict what's coming in real time.
And look, this isn't some far-off sci-fi fantasy. Let's jump right into where AI is already on the front lines, taking these mountains of data and turning them into real, actual, tangible action.
Okay, take the Brazilian Amazon. A place that's absolutely critical for the health of the entire planet. Right now, AI is being trained to do something that no human eye possibly could. It's learning to spot the future. It scans all this satellite data, looking for these tiny, faint visual signals. They call them spiderwebs of illegal logging roads. These are the telltale signs that a massive wave of deforestation is about to happen.
And the results? They're just stunning. These AI alerts go directly to the Brazilian Federal Police, which means they can get in there before the forest is totally destroyed. And get this, in the areas where they're using this tool, the deforestation rate has plunged by a staggering 54%. That is a huge, measurable impact right there.
And you know what's so brilliant about this? That same basic idea can be applied almost everywhere. We're talking about using AI to predict droughts in Africa, to track these tiny, almost invisible changes in melting icebergs, and to create these incredibly accurate forecasts for floods and storms. It's literally turning an ocean of data into intelligence that can save lives.
But it's not just about monitoring the damage, right? AI is also actively helping us build a greener future. Think about it. It's being used to optimize these super complex renewable energy grids. Making sure the lights stay on even when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing. And it's even helping us discover new materials, stuff like high-temperature superconductors that could completely revolutionize energy efficiency. Okay, but all of this incredible power has to come from somewhere. And it comes at a cost. The very engine that's driving all of these amazing solutions has this massive and growing appetite for energy. And that, right there, brings us to the dark side of the AI revolution.
Yeah, so you have climate advocates like Michael Hu from Friends of the Earth, and they're basically sounding the alarm. They're telling us, hey, we need to look past all the hype and see the fundamental problem here, which is AI's enormous and just exploding demand for energy. So here's the absolute core of the issue. To train and run these incredibly powerful AI models, you need a mind-boggling amount of computational power. And where does that power come from? Well, it comes from these gigantic data centers that are consuming amounts of electricity on the scale of a whole city. So the big question is, where is all that electricity coming from? Well, more and more, it's coming from fossil fuels. See, the demand from AI is just skyrocketing so fast that in a lot of places, it's outpacing how quickly we can build out renewables. And that forces energy companies to fall back on things like natural gas just to keep these data centers running.
Now, just take a look at this, because this is where the irony gets really, really stark. The projections show that by 2035, natural gas could be powering more than half of all data centers in the US. Think about that for a second. The very tool that we're hoping will solve the climate crisis is on a path to become one of the next major drivers of carbon emissions itself. It's kind of wild.
But the energy consumption, that's not even the only problem. There's another massive danger that AI poses to climate action. And this one isn't about energy, it's about information. It's a threat to the very idea of truth.
So environmental groups are warning that AI is about to turbocharge climate disinformation. With just the click of a button, you can generate an endless stream of articles that sound convincing but are totally false.
You can create realistic-looking images of fake protests. You can create social media posts that are perfectly tailored to sow doubt about climate science. And this flood of junk makes it so much harder to get everyone on the same page, which is what we need to actually do something about this.
So, okay, if AI is both this potential savior and a saboteur, where the heck do we go from here? Well, the answer probably isn't to just throw the technology away. It's about getting a whole lot smarter about how we build it and how we use it. And this quote here from Professor Noelle Salin at MIT really gets at a more nuanced way of thinking. What she's suggesting is that in this big rush to build bigger and more powerful AI, we've kind of forgotten to ask a really basic question. Is the biggest, most complicated model always the best tool for the job?
And you can see exactly how this plays out in the real world. Research from MIT discovered that for really complex, short-term stuff, like predicting extreme rainfall, yeah, the big, beefy deep learning models are great. But for other super important jobs, like predicting long-term global temperature changes, simpler models can actually work better. They don't get us confused by messy data, and here's the kicker, they do it all using just a fraction of the energy. It really makes you ask, do we need to use a sledgehammer for every single problem when a regular hammer would do just fine?
And this all brings us to probably the single most important takeaway from this whole conversation. We have got to stop thinking about AI as this magical thing that's either going to save us or destroy us.
The crucial thing to get is that AI isn't inherently good or bad for the climate. It's just an accelerator, right? Think of it like a super powerful engine in a car. The engine doesn't decide where to go, it just gets you to your destination way faster, no matter what direction you're pointing. It just magnifies our human intentions and our choices.
So this is the massive dilemma we're facing. On one side, you have the promise of these unbelievable new tools. On the other, you have the very real peril of a giant new source of carbon emissions and a supercharged disinformation machine. So the path forward? It really comes down to the choices we make. Things like demanding to know where data centers get their energy, funding research into more efficient AI, and most of all, prioritizing our own human wisdom to steer this incredibly powerful accelerator.
Because in the end, AI's impact on our climate isn't really going to be decided by the technology itself. It's going to be decided by us, by our priorities, by our policies, by our collective will. AI is, without a doubt, the most powerful tool we have ever created. The only real question left is, what were we going to tell it to build?